All right, hey everybody, it's Brandon with Ride Engine, and here today we're talking about the Ride Engine Universal Wing Harness line. For those of you that are getting into the sport of winging, you may find that eventually you're going to be using a harness line to take some of the load off your arms. And there are a lot of different wings with a lot of different connections, from boom to webbing to pigtail, or your wing may have no handle connections whatsoever. The best thing about the Ride Engine Universal Harness line is it is able to mount on any wing in the market, making it extremely easy to use and versatile for those of you looking to ride a harness line. This wing comes packaged up in a little small circle. What that's going to do is that's going to make it pre-curved, easy to use, easy to hook into. Just want to give it a little stretch when you get it. It's going to come complete with the boom or webbing connectors. That's to go on a boom wing or on the handles. It's going to come with an internal nylon rope that can be used to tie directly to the wing. It's going to have some neoprene covers to cover up your knots and a PU tube to make sure that this thing is lasting a long time and not going to catch around your fingers or any unnecessary snags on your body. Again, this is the Universal Harness line, and it is for mounting to any wing with a harness line. All right, for those of you that may be using a wing with a boom, there are several wings on the market that use a hard boom. Those of you that are from windsurfing may be familiar with this installation, but it is very simple and very easy. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take one side of our harness line. It doesn't matter which side. We're going to choose the side that has the protective sleeve on it, not the side that has the Velcro. We want to keep the Velcro on the outside. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the webbing hole. Set my boom down really quick. We're going to open up the webbing hole. We're going to take the other side of the harness line and we're going to slide it through itself, thus creating a small lark's head style connection down here on the webbing side. You see this leaves a very wide open hole here in order to slide the boom through. Now the other side is a little bit more complicated. What we want to do is we want to have the side facing us, the Velcro side facing us, and we want to be able to see the logo on the tab. What you're going to do is grab this with your fingers and you're going to roll it inwards, not once, but twice. And that's going to create this small kind of loop looking thing with a twist in your line. You're then going to take the rest of your line and you're going to feed it all through itself, thus again creating that small lark's head style connection on my wing. Notice my Velcro is still on the outside so that I can still Velcro my wing down. So now I have my two sides completely set up with my lark's head style connection. I can reach down, I can grab my boom. I'm going to go ahead and slide one end completely over the boom. I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to slide that side over the boom. Now I'm going to take a guess as to where my CG is on my wing. You're not going to get it perfect the first time. That's the best part. These are really easy to adjust. So go ahead and set it where you think about you're going to want the harness line. And then you're going to come here with our Velcro and we're just going to pull as hard as we can to try to cinch this down as tight as possible on the boom. Idea being here is that we get this rope out from the webbing so that it's sitting flush on the boom if possible. If it's not possible because the diameter of your boom is too large, that's not the end of the world either. So again, we just want to pull this down as tight as possible and secure the Velcro. Now that we have that in place where we think we want it, we're just going to take our neoprene covers, we're going to slide them up all the way. That's going to ensure that this is nice and tight and the harness line is completely installed on my boom. Okay, so the next way that you may need to install this wing is on a wing with pigtail style connections. And I'm going to show you exactly what that is, but first we're going to prep our harness line. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to find and locate the internal line that goes inside the PU tube and the retention loop that holds that PU line to the webbing end. We're going to slide the knot simply through the retention loop. We're going to untie the knot and we're going to slide the webbing off of the line and set it aside for later. We're going to go ahead and repeat that process on this side. If you'd like, you can start just simply by untying the knot, or you can slide the knot through the retention loop. We're going to slide that out. We're going to pull our webbing end connection off and we're going to discard that for later. Keep a hold of that because you might need it for a different wing. So what we have left here is we have our PU coated tube, we have our internal nylon rope, and we have our neoprene covers. So you can see connecting to our wing, which I'm going to pull out here in the front so that we can show what we're talking about. And we're talking about these pigtail style connections. These are come on a few different wings. They accept lark's heads, or in this case, what we're going to do is we're simply going to take our webbing line, we're going to slide it through our pigtail so that it is 100% going through the pigtail. And I'm going to come over here on the line and I'm going to tie a large figure 8 style knot. Now make sure when you tie this knot, you leave enough room so that you can tie the knot on the other side and that you have a tail. The rope is nice and large diameter, meaning the knots are going to come out extremely easy. So don't worry about getting this knot super tight. You really want this knot to be large so that it can't slide back through the pigtail style connection. Now same thing, I'm going to slide my PU tube nice and snug. I'm going to come down here to my bottom knot. I'm going to slide the line through my webbing, or through my pigtail style connection. And again, I'm going to tie a large figure 8 style knot into my rope. Again, making sure everything gets nice and tight so that that knot is secure. Don't worry, this large diameter rope will come untied. The final step is going to take my neoprene cover and slide that all the way up as much as I can over the knot and the tube here. That's just going to ensure that the rope is as tight as possible to the wing and that it's not flopping around as much as possible. And it's as simple as that. This is now connected to my wing and ready to go on the water. Okay, for those of you that have a webbing style connection you may find on wings in which a large knot is not going to hold the rope, you're going to set up your harness line exactly the same as you did for your pigtail style connection, in that we're going to take the webbing ends off of our harness line, setting those aside for later. What we should have is our PU coated tube, our neoprene sleeves, and our internal nylon line. We're going to come over here to our wing that has our webbing style connections. In this case, you can see it's a large webbing style loop. I'm simply going to take my nylon line, again, slide it through my webbing loop, making sure that it is securely through the loop. And in this case, I'm going to tie the figure 8 around the webbing connection. So I'm going to loop around itself. I'm going to push back through my loop here, and I'm simply going to cinch down that knot around the webbing and get it as tight as possible. Once I have that top one done, I want to pull the PU tube nice and tight, exposing as much tail on the other side as possible. And I'm going to come over here, put it through the bottom webbing, making sure it's fully secure through the bottom. Again, tying my large diameter figure 8 style knot, which is an extremely reliable yet easy to undo knot in this situation. Again, make sure you have enough tail to tie the knot, getting it nice and tight. And then just like before, the final step is to slide these neoprene sleeves up over the knot as tight as you can, and that's going to ensure the harness line is as tight as possible. Now that we have our large figure 8 style knots in our line, you can see this harness line is effectively connected to my wing and is ready to go in the water. Okay, for those of you that are saying, Brandon, well, I don't have any harness line attachments on my wing, or I have hard handles, or I have something that I can't tie a knot to, the best news is this harness line can do all. So what you need to do is grab the webbing ends that you had before that you discarded. We need to take them off of our harness line in order to set ourselves up. So we're going to set our harness line down for a second. We're going to take our webbing pieces here. We're going to make sure that we have the abrasive side on the inside and the Velcro on the outside. I'm going to take the abrasive resistant side. I'm going to slip it over my handle, and I'm going to feed the other side through the loop here, creating, for those of you that are familiar with knots, a lark's head knot. I'm going to slide this where I think I want my harness line, probably out of the way of my hand. I'm going to tighten it and simply put the Velcro down. So what I'm left with is my webbing is actually attached to my physical handle itself. I'm going to repeat the process down here on the bottom. Again, I want the abrasive resistant side on the inside. I'm going to slip it around my handle, making sure it's fully wrapped around. I'm going to feed it through itself, thus tightening it down to the handle, and I'm going to secure it with the Velcro. So what I should have here, if I'm set up correctly, is I should have both of my webbing attachments on my wing secured. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my harness line. I'm going to simply feed the line through the webbing. I'm going to feed this part of the line up through the retention loop. And then I'm going to tie a simple overhand knot in the line. Again, make sure you tie this knot kind of close to the end so that you're gonna have enough room to tie the knot on the other side. You can see when I slide that knot against the retention loop, that thing is secure in place. Now what I wanna do is also push my PU tube all the way up into the webbing sleeve, making sure that it's seated fully against the knot. That's gonna expose the most amount of tail on the other side, making it easy to put together. So now that I have all this tail exposed, I'm gonna come down here to the bottom one, same thing. I'm gonna slide it through the webbing, making sure to pull the PU tube up nice and tight. I'm gonna go through the small retention loop, making sure it's nice and tight. And I'm gonna tie my overhand knot in my line as snug as I can get it to the retention loop. Get that nice and tight, make sure everything feels good. And now you can see this wing is set up to go on the water. So again, this harness line is able to work on any wing on the market, making it super easy to install no matter what brand, model, make you have of a wing, and it's gonna allow you to use the harness on the water to take some load off your arms.